All right, as you're gathering, we're getting ready to start here pretty soon. Get comfortable. I think we're going to give attendees another minute. All right, we'll give everybody just another minute here, and then we'll get going. Thanks for coming, those who are here. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome. My name is Jonathan McKee, and I'm an account manager here at Pratello. At Pratello, we help executives like you find technology solutions like NetSuite that drive efficiency and solve the challenges growing businesses are currently facing. Today, we'll be dialoguing about switching from QuickBooks to NetSuite, something so common among growing companies. I probably get at least 3 requests a week on that topic alone. So we're tapping a very helpful resource here at Pratello, Senior NetSuite Solutions Consultant, Jim Doyle. Jim, all of us here attending today want to pick your brain. But first, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks, Jonathan. So as a solutions consultant, my responsibility really is to ensure that we're aligning our customers with the right NetSuite solutions based on their business requirements. And I actually held a similar position working for NetSuite directly for several years before coming to Pratello. And so I supported manufacturing, distribution, retail, all sorts of customers in the service industry as well. So worked with wide range of industries. And then also before I even came to the NetSuite realm, I was a logistics officer in the Army, managed fleet maintenance programs, inventory control, things like that. And we actually went through an implementation project to migrate off of our old on-prem system to a cloud solution, SAP based, but got to go through that full implementation. Really good experience and really good perspective.
Oh, good. Well, Jim, thanks. That's helpful. So tell us, many of us attending here today are beginning to feel the pains of growing out of QuickBooks. So in your years as a functional consultant, how often did you encounter growing companies switching from QuickBooks?
All the time, Jonathan. Let's be honest. I mean, QuickBooks has really become the standard financial software for small businesses. And it's a good fit for many businesses on that day one, but it lacks many of the capabilities that growing businesses need and provides limited, I'll say, real-time visibility into essential business information, which again, it makes it difficult to sustain or accelerate growth.
That was so good. You just nailed it right there. It lacks real-time visibility into essential business information. Jim, I spent 30 years in the nonprofit world, and we had QuickBooks, but we also had a database and a separate CRM and Excel for all our budgeting and reports. And none of these 4 systems talked with each other. So sometimes we just found ourselves having to update something 4 times. I would ask my bookkeeper for a report, and she would literally say, from which system? So now that I work with Pratello helping growing companies, I see that I wasn't alone. As a matter of fact, many of us attending here today probably feel these pain points. And that seems like one of the biggest frustrations of growing businesses, not having real-time access to all of our data in one system, one single source of truth.
Yeah, and that's why companies make the switch to NetSuite, right? So they can have that real-time access to all their data, anytime, anywhere, from any device that's in the cloud, and it enables them to make the right decisions at the right time.
Absolutely. Well, tell you what, let's dive in. We have a quick 45 minutes today, packed with valuable information. And you, our viewers here that are with us, you can expect Jim to have the floor for about 35 minutes of those or so to go through a product tour showing key areas where NetSuite is going to help you grow and be more effective. Things like pre-configured dashboards, roles, and KPIs, automated workflows, and reporting and analytics that gives you that real-time visibility that today's growing companies need to make effective decisions. So we'll conduct a short Q&A at the end. And if you have any questions during the webinar, we won't be getting questions from the chat. Please type them into the Q&A window and we'll address them during the Q&A time. And don't worry if we don't have time for every question. If your question isn't answered live today, we'll follow up with you personally after the webinar to answer your question. So by the end of our time today, we really hope that you feel more comfortable and confident about what NetSuite is and that you see value in ways that NetSuite might be able to help your business. We're really passionate about helping customers achieve growth, and we have all kinds of exciting stories and learnings to share here today. So let's start with Jim, who will begin with a few slides about exactly what NetSuite is and does, who Pratello is, and some of the common frustrations that growing businesses are feeling. Jim.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into it, Jonathan. So, and Jonathan talked about the agenda a little bit. We'll spend most of the time today in that demonstration. I know that's why a lot of folks are here, but do want to take a couple minutes beforehand to talk about some of the challenges and then how NetSuite's going to provide a solution to overcome those obstacles. So again, let's first start by talking about some of these challenges, and we hear these almost every day from growing companies on QuickBooks, and some of these may be familiar, unfortunately. The first is disconnected systems. Oh, we've got a sales and marketing platform and a Shopify website. We track our inventory and our orders in Google Sheets. We have a standalone CRM or project management software. Some of these things are connected to each other. Some require manual data reentry. Some of it's connected to QuickBooks, some of it isn't. When you're small, you can use these multiple different point applications and get away with it. But as your business gets more complex, you end up, we call this a hairball. It gets very difficult to maintain. You end up with silos of information in your business. And like I said, ton of work to connect everything and a lot of unnecessary overhead to maintain what becomes an increasingly complex tech stack. So that's, number one challenge, and we hear that a lot. The second is manual processes, and disconnected systems contributes to this. You want the system to work for you, but instead of taking tasks off your plate, you end up duplicating those tasks with data reentry or having to make decisions in one system based on data that may be in another system. The classic example is if your order management and your inventory systems aren't connected, then you have to manually go in and commit and manage inventory with your orders based on orders coming in an entirely different system. Just one example, but can quickly become death by 1,000 paper cuts as you grow and those manual processes stack up. Big time challenge there. Lack of visibility, also a major challenge. Sure, I can generate financial statements, but they're not always real time because it takes so much effort to consolidate what I need into my accounting system. And then from a BI and an analytics standpoint, I end up having to use some other tool to consolidate my financial data with my sales and operations, supply chain, inventory, services, all the other slices of the pie, without which I don't have a full picture of what's going on in my business. And without a full picture, can't make those informed, proactive decisions to steer the ship strategically, right? And then finally, limited flexibility. So as my business is growing and evolving, it can be difficult to efficiently meet new requirements. As we all know, there's been a ton of disruption over the last couple of years, really over the last couple of years in particular. And we've seen a lot of companies starting to prioritize agility and flexibility in their system. They need to take advantage of new opportunities and mitigate risk in a pretty dynamic environment. It can be really tough to do that without the right system. And so if you're experiencing any of these challenges, then you've probably reached a similar conclusion. The system I'm on, QuickBooks or otherwise, isn't scalable. It's going to hinder rather than enable my growth. So how does NetSuite help companies overcome those challenges, those obstacles? First and foremost, NetSuite's a single integrated business suite. So all your additions are going to have ERP, core financials, accounting, including your general ledger chart of accounts, AR/AP automation, inventory management, CRM and marketing automation, and then depending on your business needs, we can include things like supply chain management, manufacturing, professional services, e-commerce. This isn't an all-inclusive list, but it gives you an idea of the breadth of the solution depending on your requirements. And then the unified data model, it's a nice pretty pie instead of that hairball, right? No more silos, no more disconnected systems. Processes can be automated across functional areas. And then the native reporting and analytics is going to give you real-time, I know, Jonathan, real-time data, that's becoming a theme here. It's going to give you that real-time data, BI, and the insight you need to make strategic business decisions. NetSuite has also pre-packaged these industry-specific solutions through a methodology called Suite Success. So they've taken everything that they've learned over 20 years and 29,000 customers across all sorts of different industries, and they've built out these pre-configured roles, dashboards, KPIs, workflows. And so you're able to, out of the box, start to recognize value quicker, and then also reducing risk and that ultimately that time to value. Pre-configured, but it's still flexible. So if you do need to configure and customize, build out your own unique reporting packages or automations to add to the existing Suite Success functionality, you can do that. And if that's not enough, then you also have pre-built or partner developed apps that have, pre-built integrations or are native inside the system. So it's as seamless as adding an app on your phone. Makes it really strong, flexible, and then the last point here is it's all cloud-based. Easy to access, you just need an internet connection, web browser, and you'll never be version locked because your updates are all done automatically twice a year, no expensive equipment like servers, anything like that. And it's all secure. NetSuite actually uses the same encryption as major financial institutions. So if we step back and look at this, and we're about to transition into the demonstration here, but just to kind of summarize, what you're getting with NetSuite is single unified solution that is tailored to your industry and has pre-configured functionality and leading practices, all while still being flexible, cloud-based, and secure. So let's go ahead and transition over to the demonstration, take a look at some of this in action. We'll start just by giving high-level system overview and look at some of the transactions and reports that you have available. And then we'll spend some time looking at the financial management and reporting. And then the last bit will be, we'll look at a purchasing and inventory role for those product-based companies out there. And then a little bit of time we'll spend on services management, so professional services automation, project management for any services, consulting firms, or those folks that are out there as well. So let me go ahead and switch over to NetSuite here. And Jonathan, let me know if at any point I need to zoom in or anything.
It looks great
on my screen. All right. So currently logged into NetSuite. You can see I'm just in a browser. NetSuite's browser agnostic, so it doesn't matter which browser you want to use. I just needed an internet connection to connect here. And I'm in an admin role because we want to start just by giving you a quick overview of the breadth of the system, sort of how far it spans. And so let's look at some of the different transaction types that NetSuite supports. Here's a list of some of them. For banking, we can do things like, write checks, make deposits, and then down here, reconciliation. So bank, credit card, both integration, and then to automate your reconciliation process, there's intelligent auto matching and things like that. That's always a big hit with the finance or the accounting people that are doing this manually every day. They're bank recs, right? CRM, native CRM, so being able to create opportunities, quotes, invoices, payments, things like that. Inventory transactions, so being able to track how much our inventory levels and then adjust it, count it, revalue it, any sort of action you need to take with your inventory. And then down here, reviewing if we have negative inventory, status changes, things like that. And we'll take a look at some of those when we go into our purchasing and inventory role. Purchases, so being able to send out purchase orders, purchase requisitions, if you want to control that, purchasing activity internally, RFQs, purchase contracts, if you have blanket purchase orders, recurring purchase orders, things like that. This order items page is going to be where we go to order inventory items that have fallen below our reorder points or are part of our supply plan if we're running MRP, if we're a manufacturer or anything like that. Really powerful page there. And then on the payable side, being able to actually create those vendor bills, approval routings for a lot of these transactions, pay them, post variances if there's three-way matching. So very, very robust solution on that AP side. For those in services, being able to run billing operations to generate invoices for time and material or any of the project-related expenses that you want to bill customers for. Employees can go in and enter expense reports and track their time and track time against projects that we can make billable and then invoice customers. So it ties everything together. It's very automated. Loading in quotas and forecasts for our sales team and then tracking, quota versus forecast, or actual versus forecast, actual versus quota in real time. And then financial, all sorts of different types of journal entries and period close tasks that we can automate through here. Lists, these are some of the things that you'll set up. So we just went to the transactions. Now, some of the things you'll set up, of course, there's a lot on the accounting as far as your chart of accounts, currencies. NetSuite supports multi-currency. So if you do business overseas or if you have an overseas sub, then that's something NetSuite can handle. Setting up your employees, of course, relationships like leads, prospects, customers, vendors, partners, all sorts of different entities that you set up, and then those transactions tie all your entities together as you're running your business all in this single system. And then to step back, we have transactions, we have our entities. From a reporting standpoint, so now we're looking at out-of-the-box reports, talk about suite success. So these are the pre-configured reports, purchasing by vendor, by item, looking at our customers and our receivables by rep, by territory, doing some look at profitability, understanding issue management. So having support cases automatically routed through so we can escalate and address any issues, customer service. Looking at financial, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, GL, of course, all real time. So and we'll look at some of these when we switch over to a finance role, but all real time reports, so we can see that as our users are transacting in the system. All our AP reports, AP aging, project profitability reports for those service companies out there that struggle to calculate that manually. And then banking, so being able to do reconciliations and then also have budget versus actual in real time in NetSuite. You have a budget record and then you can see how you stand versus your budget as you enter transactions into the system. time and billables, again, large, very critical for service companies to be able to see allocated time, planned time, utilization rates, all sorts of earned value as we're understanding the cost of our resources, and then also how much customers are paying for the services that we provide, and so we can really understand profitability and get all the way down to the project level if we need to as well. And then some inventory reports, profitability, current inventory snapshot, so we can see all our stock levels, what we have on hand, available, back ordered, in transit, all those different statuses for an inventory item. If we have back ordered, back ordered inventory, or we want to see our turnover, out of the box reports provide that. More CRM reports for sales by different reporting segments. Pipeline analysis is going to provide a look at our opportunity pipeline, our sales funnel, and then we can see how those are progressing through to ultimately convert that sale, convert that customer. So not an all-inclusive kind of list of everything that comes out of the box, but just wanted to give a little demonstration of kind of the breadth of the system. And now we'll transition more into kind of day in the life, what the user experience is, and what this automation looks like from that role. So first thing I'll call, and you notice my dashboard just totally changed because I switched roles. NetSuite's a role-based system. So if I'm logged in a controller role, which I am, I'm in my Cameron Murdoch, I'm in my controller role, this is going to dictate all my different navigation tiles, my reminders, which are tasks that the system's prompting me to do. Key performance indicators are going to be geared towards finance and period close and journals and things like that. I can drill directly into my financial statements up here, so I can open up an income statement, P&L, and see real-time income statement. I can set my dates. All the financial reporting in NetSuite is going to be pretty, you're going to have the ability to set your date ranges down here. If you have multiple subsidiaries, whether you want to look at individual subs or at a consolidated basis, and then being able to segment out by our different reporting segments. So like product classification. If I want to segment this report out, I can just select class, and now we're looking at a P&L. And across the top, up here, we can see our product classes. And then now we can look at revenue by product classification, and then actually drill in if I needed to view that detail report, get all the way down to the detail so I can see revenue accounts. So we're going to see a lot of invoices. And then I can open the invoice from here if I need to. So NetSuite reports are really flexible. You can slice it and dice it. You can segment it. You can drill all the way down to the transaction if you need to. You can also export it. So down here in the corner, there's options for Excel, PDF, Word. We can print it. We can email it. We can also schedule it to run and then email out to select individuals if you want to put together a reporting package that goes out once a week to a distro list. You could do something like that down here. So that's a quick look at just income statement. Balance sheet will be, similar look and feel of that income statement. So we won't go through all the same kind of slice and dice like we did, but you see how these reports are formatted. And then for my KPIs, so there's out of the box KPIs. You can see our sales trending, expenses, receivables. I can open up a little chart. So if I open up this little trend graph, I can view my weekly receivables, monthly, see how I'm trending. Looks like business is growing. That's good. Or our receivables, our collections need to kick it into high gear. And then even drill into the underlying. So I can drill into the number for our current AR, and I can actually pull up the report that underlines that KPI. So here's my AR aging, and being able to see for all my customers a nice clean 30, 60, 90 day aging up here, and what those balances are for each of my customers. I can filter, or I can add, I can change the bands. If I don't want to do 30, 60, 90, I can change that. I can also, these reports are also, you can configure them. You don't need to know how to code. You just need to be able to understand the filters you'd want, the columns you'd want. So I could add a quick filter to this AR aging if we want to look at just strategic accounts. So maybe I only want to see my AR aging for my large accounts where they have an open balance of over 10,000 outstanding. And so I'll just add that, filter in my report. I have a nice little custom AR aging. I could save this. I could put it on my dashboard. I could, save it and email it out. And it only took a couple clicks to add that filter that I wanted to. The out-of-the-box reports provide a really good opportunity to use those as templates and then just apply your own criteria or results that you want to. We've also got analytics. So being able to build pivot tables and graphs like this, revenue by period, trending, some financials, bank balance. We're looking at profit. We're looking at income, and I can change the KPI scorecard that I have here. I could change it to whatever I want to be looking at if I have the access and the permissions that allow me to view the data and transactions there. More income trend, and then bank recs again. So bank reconciliation summary for those that are doing that manually now. And then over here, I saved the best for last, or one of the best for last. I like the reminders portlet a lot. It's this has there's standard reminders that come out of the box, and then you can also create your own reminders. And these are going to allow me to focus on the tasks I need to complete, and they're real time and exception based, which means that it's only going to bring to my attention the items that need my intervention versus looking at all of our orders or all of our payments or things like that. So I can drill right into customers to bill, and we can see we have 3 customers that need to be invoiced for work that we've done on a project. And so I can come in, I can select all 3 of them, I can submit it, it'll generate those invoices, and if I want to, I can send, it can send directly to the customer from here. There's different rules that you can set up for, these are project invoices, but you could do the same for other events that would trigger the creation of invoices for customers. And then when I generate that invoice and it goes to the customer, here's a customer record. So for Smith Supplies, this is a customer, we've invoiced them. This customer record is going to be your single source of truth for all your activity with Smith Supplies once they're a customer. So as sales folks are coming in, marketing, support, anyone who comes in and is adding things to the record or putting in notes, here's a communication tab so we can see all our historical system generated emails that have gone out, including an invoice. We can, use PDF templates to make it look pretty, add our company logo and branding and things like that. But as all this communication is just queuing here automatically as we actually do it. Being able to see all our sales transactions with Smith Supplies. So these are some sales orders, cash sales, looking at any marketing, like if business came from some sort of marketing campaign or event, we can tie revenue back to it. And so we get some ROI analysis on our marketing dollars, which is really valuable. Customer scorecard is going to give us a quick snapshot of for Smith Supplies. How many orders do they have for this last year? Fulfillments, invoices, just a quick snapshot. We can see any open sales orders that they have currently, what that status is over here, top sold items, 12-month sales, 12-month returns, things like that, all for this specific customer. I can't tell you how many times me as a NetSuite user myself, and I was used the CRM, I would all the time be pulling up, customer 360 on my phone, when we're going on site or when we're going to meet with a client, and I'm able to pull that up and read about support cases, read notes from other folks that have interacted with that customer, all sorts of information that gives me what I need to be armed for that meeting, right? So very, very valuable single source of truth for your customer. And then this dashboard here gives us a view of 4 Smith supplies, KPIs that are filtered down to just them. So instead of looking at overall sales on my dashboard, I can also go to Smith supplies and see just sales numbers just for Smith supplies, forecast, balances, average days to pay, average days overdue, all sorts of KPIs about different stages in that life cycle. And then also I can invoice, I can enter sales orders, payment transactions, all types of transactions directly from that customer dashboard. Couple other quick reports on our controller role, and then we'll switch over to purchasing and inventory. Here's a comparative income statement. I wanted to call this out because this is one that folks are always excited to see. This gives you that P&L and allows you to do analysis on current numbers versus comparative amount in previous period. In this case, it would be previous year. And then you can see your variances as you're going. Again, it's all real time and drillable. And then you can also adjust the date ranges that you want to use here. And then budget versus actual. This is real-time budget as a percentage, or sorry, real-time actuals as a percentage of your budget. So if you load a budget record for all your accounts, you can see when you're over budget, and you can prevent that before it becomes a problem. So that was finance role. I'm gonna take about 5 minutes here and cover quickly some purchasing and some services items real quick. So I'm going to switch roles. And so you'll see my dashboard totally changes when I switch roles. Now I have, because I'm purchasing, I have late POs, I have KPIs around inventory, purchase orders, value, things like that, inventory turnover and trends, monthly purchase orders. As a purchaser, this is, I log in and everything I need to do my day-to-day job is right here. I can open in my reminders, my items to order. I referenced this earlier. This shows me based on reorder points, based on blanket purchase orders, based on MRP if I'm a manufacturer, the system's going to recommend purchase orders for inventory items. So here's my, here's a bunch of items. The system's telling me it's pulling in my preferred vendor. It's pulling in the quantity that it's recommending based on reorder points in this case. And then I can generate this purchase order directly from my order items page, and it'll actually create 2, one for each of my vendors, but a consolidated PO for my replenishment. And then the inventory reporting as well, being able to pull up inventory status, and it's all real time, so you can really manage and proactively address disruption before it becomes an issue. And now, we've got a couple minutes. I want to hit really quickly some of the services components. So I'm logged in now. I've changed roles a little bit. I'm in a project manager role. And so again, totally different from my purchasing and inventory. I can see charges that I have on hold, milestones that are due. We can see we've got some milestones this month. I can have a list of all my resources, all my project resources and what their job titles are. And then all my projects that I have active. If I open up a list here, I can see these are all my open projects. So here's all my project names, quick snapshot of my percent complete. And then, I can open up a project record as well and view things like my tasks, my milestones, my work breakdown structure, things like that. So here's a project record for Ultima Technology. I can see, header information, project overview is my planned versus actual versus remaining work. All my different tasks down here that make up this project. You can set up predecessor requirements and statuses and then assign resources to these. Work breakdown structure is where I can see, that nice by the different components here, what my work breakdown looks like, and those real-time numbers for my financials for this specific project, and then a P&L, project-specific P&L. You get the idea. It's all there, and it's all these financials are just based on the transactions that my users are creating in the system. My resources are going in and entering time against project tasks and against and entering, billable material or if they're purchasing or things like that. Expenses, that's the word I was looking for. It's all going to be on that project record. And so I want to make sure we have a couple minutes here for questions. And then if there are some questions, always go back into the system if we need to address those. But do want to quickly recap, Jonathan, and then I'll turn it over to you. The first thing that we saw the first thing that we hear as challenge typically is disconnected systems. So what we saw here is NetSuite is that unified platform. It's going to have everything from your financials to your CRM, inventory and operations. There's no more hairball of different systems that you have kind of plugged together or that you're manually moving data between. It's now clean, single source of truth. Manual processes. So because it's a single unified system, there's no need for data reentry. And there's a ton of automation for everyday tasks like, bank reconciliations. Everything's through that reminders portlet. So you're ensured to only really be focusing on the right activities and completing those in a timely manner. And then visibility and reporting. NetSuite's native reporting is real time. Oh, there we go. And a lot of it is pre-configured, but very easy to adjust depending on your requirements. And the unified data model, again, is going to ensure that you have the full picture. You're not having to consolidate multiple sources of data from multiple systems into a single reporting or BI tool. It's just a layer on top of your NetSuite ERP. It's really powerful. Allows you to make those informed decisions and better understand and reduce the inefficiencies and costs that may be hampering your growth. And so to sum up, a lot of you may be wondering, this sounds great. How do I get started? And the short answer is reach out to us. Jonathan will elaborate on this in a minute, but Protello is your one-stop shop for NetSuite licensing and implementation services. We are a top-tier NetSuite partner with NetSuite certified ERP consultants, over 300,000 NetSuite customers and over 100,000 hours of consulting, very experienced resources who don't just understand who don't just understand the software, they also understand business process and how to most efficiently leverage NetSuite to achieve your goals. So you're definitely in good hands there. And now I think my time is about up, Jonathan, so I can turn it back over to you. Appreciate the airtime.
Oh, Jim, that was so helpful. I know I'm not alone when I say that. Let's take a peek at some of the questions. We've got some good questions people are asking. And Jim, I'm going to let you take most of these. I'll take a couple. Let's start with this one. Are there industry-specific reports? And as you showed us some reporting, and are reports easy to generate? I am a manufacturer.
Oh yeah. So there's over 250 out-of-the-box reports, and many of them are industry specific if they're not kind of generic financial reports, right? And then there are specific reports for verticals like professional services, distribution. You said manufacturing, Jonathan, so there are certainly some manufacturing. There's a whole slew of manufacturing reports for managing bills of material and routings and work orders and managing that production process
Nice.
and reporting on it. So certainly.
Okay, I'm looking at other questions here. Here's one. What if I only have a few users now, but business is good, we're growing, and we plan to hire quickly in the near future?
Sure, yeah. And one of the nice things about NetSuite is that it's very modular in how you are in how you are adopting it or implementing it. So I guess what I'm getting to is, if you only have a few users, then that's all you need to buy, right? And if you only have limited functional requirements, we outsource all our manufacturing, so we don't need all the manufacturing. Then you don't need that in your initial solution. But as you grow and as your requirements change, you add employees, you open another location, you bring that manufacturing in-house. So now you do need to manage that process. NetSuite's going to be there to provide you that solution or that module when you need it, not before.
That's good.
So it allows you to grow, certainly.
No, definitely. I mean, NetSuite is a scalable solution, and it offers products for startups, small businesses up to mid-market, and enterprise companies. So it's not a re-implementation to grow. It's
Yep.
totally scalable. So good stuff. Here's another question for you, Jim. They asked, can I prevent certain people from viewing financial reports or other transactions? In other words, how accessible is the system to all the users?
Yes, great question. I should have mentioned this. That should have been one of the first things I mentioned when I went into the demonstration, is that NetSuite's roles. So when we were in a controller role, all those roles have different levels of access and different permissions. And so because you're obviously going to want to restrict access to financial reports or transactions from your purchasing and inventory, or from your project managers, those roles and the permissions and access levels ensure that segregation of duty and the control of who can view and who can actually access the data. Yeah, and you can configure those as well if you need to.
Nice, perfect. Okay, here's another one here. If I have only a few employees now, this is kind of similar to in how it starts with that last question, but it goes a different direction. I only have a few employees now, but plan to hire quickly in the near future. Is it easy to add users?
Oh yeah, it's easy to add users. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would just need to reach out at that point. Like you said, I've worked with, tiny mom and pop or tiny, companies kind of working out of a garage and just looking to make that next step, very small, or even pre-revenue, companies, all the way up to, multinational, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, so NetSuite's there to support that growth, kind of no matter where you land on that trajectory, certainly.
Yeah. No, I think that adding users is a simple thing too. It's not like, re-implementation, like we said earlier. So two other questions here, because we're getting down to the last minute, and I can actually take both these. One question is, where is Pratello located? And the answer to that is that we're headquartered in Folsom, California, and we have satellite offices in Sheridan, Wyoming, Philadelphia, and we have consultants peppered across the US. It's nice. We actually have people in all 4 time zones in the US. Sorry, Hawaii, nobody yet, but I do volunteer to go there and run that office anytime. One other question, and this is a great last one here, and it's a good segue to how we can finish here. How do I see more of the inventory capabilities? And we'd love to show you more is the answer. And we're happy to set up a meeting with you. In fact, we'd love to offer a free consultation with our team of experts for anyone who is interested. So if you'd like to set up a time with Pratello and just do this, simply reply to the webinar invite you got, and we'll get you set up. And as the added bonus, the first 5 people who sign up they'll receive a 10% discount on our NetSuite implementation services. So please reach out to us. Jim, I just got to mention again, that was super helpful. That was a quick 45 minutes. I can't believe it's almost over. I think we're going to finish like 1 minute early here. Isn't that great? Nobody ever complains when you finish early. Thanks so much for letting us tap into your knowledge, Jim, and your experience in these areas. And as for our viewers, thank you for joining Pratello to discuss switching from QuickBooks to NetSuite. We appreciate you signing in. Hope you learned more about how your business can gain value with a platform like NetSuite. When you exit the webinar, you'll encounter a give feedback option. Feel free to chime in. We value your response. And we'll also send all of you a recording of this webinar in the days to follow. And if we didn't get to your questions, don't worry, we'll follow up with you so we can get those questions answered in person. Once again, for those who would like that free consultation with our team of experts, simply reply to the webinar invite. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at the next Portillo webinar.